Blue Lives Matter. I'm going live just because Converse PD is here. They're going to pick up this paperwork. Hopefully. Vehicle 1907 just kind of blew by and didn't do a damn thing.
As you guys saw, the police officer, as usual, as you guys seen many times on my videos, they just drive by and ignore you. Because the fully automatic camera ruins their reputation. And yes, I've got my stand out today.
So we do have an officer finally coming out. How you doing? I'm doing good. I've got some paperwork I need you to notarize and witness. It's a complaint against one of your officers.
Okay.
Your sergeant told me earlier today that you'd be having a town hall meeting tonight. He was mistaken. It's on Tuesdays. The lady gave me the right time on the paper that I came when I got this. Well, I understand the officer today. Maybe he thought because of the holidays. I mean, for me, it's a little frustrating because I waited in your town for 5 hours.
Yeah.
That's upsetting to me, but things like that happen.
Sorry.
So, I mean, that's why I'm here this late. I told him that. I said, I'll wait in your town throughout the day. But,
Did you walk here?
yeah, I'm on foot.
Oh, okay.
So, the issue here, it's a criminal complaint. It's filled out. Has my information on it.
Do you remember what officer?
Yeah, it's on there. There's actually 3 officers, and you may or may not be on his shift. Lieutenant Martinez was the main issue.
Okay.
Quite frankly, I'm a rights activist. Officer Vela, I'm sorry, and it's 465. I'm known throughout the greater San Antonio area as the homeless hippie.
Do you mind if okay? Let me just face this way so the sun's out of my face.
No, that's fine. I understand that. So I'm a rights activist,
Okay.
and on the 30th of June, I came out and see, like, I noticed things that other people don't normally pick up. Your officers are doing a great job. They're providing backup for you. That's what they're supposed to do. Rights activists, we're not anti-police. A lot of officers don't understand that. But basically what happened on the 30th of June is I came out, I filmed your statue there. It has a really nice prayer on it. Have you ever read that prayer?
No, I haven't actually. I'm still new here.
Okay, well, that's one of the things I'm going to make sure that the City Hall kind of mandates that all your officers read the prayer, because it's important to understand how that affects the community.
Okay.
But anyway, so I came out, I filmed that, I walked down, I filmed your no gun sign here. From where I walked, I couldn't see it's a municipal court, obviously. But see, I'm a rights guy, so I say, okay, there's a gun sign here. I need to come out during daytime, see why it's there, and if it's legit. It's obviously legit. It's municipal court chamber. That night, I'm looking for signs. I'm not out here to confront anyone. I'm doing what I do. It's called B-roll footage, and then I'll come out during the daytime and discuss it. So I walk around back, and obviously that area back there, you guys intend it to be restricted.
Yeah, it's supposed to be secured.
But it's not, and that's a problem.
We have the sign saying employee authorized only.
Yeah, but see, where can you see that sign? Only if you're driving in.
Right.
See, if I walked from over here, physically impossible to see the sign.
Right.
And that's something that would have been addressed with the City Hall today. So, anyway, so I go in the back. One of your officers is walking out. I see him.
Okay, I've heard of this vaguely, but I wasn't too sure what happened.
Okay, so basically, this is what the complaint is about. And again, it's about educating officers. It's not about belittling you guys or saying whatever.
Were you criminally trespassed?
Yes, I was criminally trespassed.
Okay. Yeah.
And very specifically on that criminal trespass, it does not include this parking lot.
Okay.
That's why I'm out here.
Right.
It also does not include any official business like turning this in, which I confirmed with your assistant chief today.
Okay.
And got verbal permission to come get the form and turn it in. But either way, I mean, my thing there is because sometimes officers get upset. Sometimes they go beyond what they should. Okay. So again, I go in the back. I see your officer. I let him know I'm there. I don't want him to be startled. He obviously was. He didn't expect anyone. I understand that. It's at night. He's like, hey, you're not allowed to be here. There's a sign. I said that there is no sign. Let's go look at it. I explained to him there's no sign. I explained to him the requirements for a criminal trespass conviction because he said you're guilty of criminal trespass. I said, no, I'm not. For that to happen, someone has to see the sign where it is reasonably going to be seen. There is no reasonable way a pedestrian walking here can see the sign because it's physically impossible. Now, both him, the lieutenant, and the other officer acknowledged that. So they're all aware I didn't commit a crime. This is where the problem is, and this is why I'm only addressing it with you so that you understand why when we do certain things, why we follow up on it.
Okay.
Because if there's no crime, I do not have to ID, okay? But they all insist, no, you're going to give us your ID because we suspect you may have committed another crime. But under Texas law, I don't have to do that. Only if I've been lawfully arrested. That's Brown versus Texas.
So being detained, you also do have to identify yourself?
No, ma'am.
Like right now, you called us out here to turn in some paperwork. If I don't know you, I can require you to identify yourself because you are right now basically detained while we investigate anything that's going on, like your complaint.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to contact your supervisor at this point because you're wrong on that, and that's why I do what I do. 3802 is very specific about that, and that's why we do what we do, okay?
So you've asked us to contact the supervisor,
Mhm.
so it's pretty standard procedure that we're no longer going to speak with you any further on this matter.
Okay,
We'll be
that's
with you shortly, okay?
that's fine. I'll wait for your supervisor. You have a good day. And again, guys, this is what I'm talking about when it's not that officers are necessarily trying to violate your rights. I'm sorry, ma'am, were you speaking to me? I'm talking to my camera, not to you. Okay, but if you want to address me, we can continue having a conversation, but you said you no longer wanted to have a consensual conversation. So I want to make sure that we're both on the same page. Okay, so at this point, we're no longer conversing. So again, this is one of those things that I talk about as well when you're discussing things and then officers get nasty or rude about something. They get angry and they say things and then they do not like it when you tell them that the reason for the complaint is valid, that just because you're being detained, you do not have to ID. So again, I've asked for a supervisor. A supervisor has come out here. The reason I asked for a supervisor is because, once again, an officer is insisting she has a right to ID me, even though I'm turning in paperwork with all of my information on it, my contact, my name, everything else. She does not have a legal authority to force me to ID just because she's making contact with me because I'm detained. But she believes she has that right, and that is an issue. So that's why I need to speak with the supervisor so he can correct it immediately so it doesn't continue. How you doing, Corporal?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's Corporal
Steinberg.
Badge
Badge number 439.
439. Okay. The only reason I called you out here is because Officer Vela is under the assumption that anytime she detains someone, she can force them to ID. And that's actually the reason I'm out here with this complaint today, is because your officers do not understand Brown versus Texas, or the fact that you do not have to ID in the state of Texas unless you've been lawfully arrested. Okay, I'm turning in this paperwork today. It has all of my information on it.
Okay.
So IDing is not an issue for me. It's the fact that she believes that if she's detained someone, regardless of the reason, she can compel them to ID, and she has to know that that is not correct.
Okay.
So do you understand 3802?
Yeah.
Failure to ID?
I'm here to collect the paperwork from you. I'm not here to debate Texas law or anything
Okay,
like that.
well, the reason I asked for a supervisor is because your officers do not understand the law, and that's what I'm trying to make sure that they do understand.
Okay,
That they
but you're
can't.
not are you a state certified law enforcement instructor?
Are you?
Yes.
You are?
Yeah,
Okay, so
I
what
am.
is PC 3802?
I don't,
You don't know? That's what I thought.
no, I don't need to go into that with you. So,
Well, then I'm sure you know how this form works.
said 6413.
Yes, it's
Okay.
6. You can make a correction. My handwriting is bad.
No,
It's
I
nerve
recognized
damage.
it. I just wanted to make sure I was reading the right numbers.
Okay, that's fine. Have all 20 of your years been here with Converse?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Okay. Hold on. Sorry.
The only signature needs to be on page 404. That because it's a continuation, it doesn't need to be
Okay.
on this page.
I'm just saying because on our witness statement forms,
Mhm.
in that they have to sign every page that they write something on.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'll take it. I don't mind.
I'll be happy to sign below that. That's not a problem. I mean, I don't want that to be a difficulty for any of your.
Yeah. If
But-
you want to just like kind of draw a line right here and then sign. And
Yeah,
put the date and time.
I'll certainly do that. What I'm going to do though, we're going to backtrack that. Then, if that's your actual policy, then I would also need to have time and date here and a witness signature on this as well. Correct? I mean, what you're saying is any.
Not this. This is your written statement. That's why your written statement. That's just questions and information. This is your written statement. This is what you're swearing to.
Correct.
The other stuff is just information. This is what you're swearing to. That's why you need the
Okay.
witness signature, and you need to sign each page.
That's no problem. We'll do that right here.
You want a clipboard? I have
If you
one right
if you
there
have
in my
one, that
car.
would be great. So.
I forgot I'm not in my normal car.
The sergeant told me I'd probably be speaking with you tonight, but he also told me you guys had a city hall meeting. That's why I was waiting this late. What time do you have currently?
What time is it?
7:31.
Signature, date, and time,
Okay.
and I'll do that on the next one now.
Yeah.
1931.
Yes, sir.
I didn't fill in the time earlier because I wasn't
that's
sure
fine.
what time I'd be out.
I'm gonna sign it as the notary, just so that it's a witness. I'm not a notary.
I understand.
I'm just underlining and putting an X right there by your signature.
That's fine.
Okay.
I don't come out here to debate or cause a scene. I mean, but it is important when officers believe that they
And
can
it
do
is.
something that they're not supposed to do.
And it's just something, it's too dang hot to stand out here and discuss the law with you. I do know it, okay? And I will make sure that they understand what they can and can't do.
Okay,
But
I
if we're
appreciate
coming
that.
out here to take a report from you and to collect paperwork from you, we need to make sure that the information that you provided on here is correct. And how else do we do that other than by collecting your ID?
No, I understand.
You know,
I understand
that's
what
why
you're
she
saying.
was asking for your ID, even though you're not doing anything wrong right now. But we just need to verify that what's on here. It's not a. We're not asking you for your ID because you're in any kind of trouble or anything like that.
I understand
We just
that,
need
but
to verify what's on here is correct.
I understand what you're saying, but that's not how that conversation came about.
Okay.
That's
what I'll make sure we have a conversation about.
Okay. And again, for when someone calls you as a witness,
Yes, sir.
yes, a witness has to provide ID.
Yes, sir.
And officers sometimes don't understand that. But again, when she made a very clear, anytime you're detained, I can. That's when I said, no, ma'am. And she said, yes, I'm right. I said, then I need to speak to a supervisor. Because again,
something about that. sometimes we say things that normal people, we say it in a way that we try to help everybody kind of understand what we're doing. It's not always the right way to say it, but they understand what we're saying.
Most people do, and I'm not where I'm getting at that. Just like this morning, I had an incident where some SAPD officers asked in a polite and professional way to ID someone they didn't need to ID.
Right.
Okay? And you can do that in polite and professional ways, and people will do it without telling them that it is required or that they have to or that they're breaking the law if they don't. That's the issue. When you tell someone they have to, it's the way you phrase it. And I mean, I'll go just because, again, we're being casual here, and this is non-confrontational. SAPD, their bike officer unlawfully arrested me for failed ID. I could have sued the city. I told him, I said, I'm not going to ID. You're going to cuff me. After you cuff me, I'm going to give you my ID, even though I don't have to because I'm still not lawfully arrested. I'm going to make a point to you. I had that discussion with 8 other officers on his shift. They all said he can do it. Why? Because they're trained the wrong way. They think, well, we have to get your ID to fill out a report, so you have to give it. Even the sergeant, Sergeant Jurytone, he's a nice guy. I said, pull up 3802, we'll go over it. That way they understand it so they're not doing this again. Because some people who do what I do, they're in this for money. I don't make a penny off of what I do.
Yes,
and trust me, I spend a lot of money. In the last week, in your town alone, I spent over $600. That may not seem like a lot, but that's more than enough for the tax to put up the sign that I was asking you guys to just put up. I mean,
yes, sir.
My point is that even the sergeant didn't know when they couldn't find the law, and I said, okay, pull it up, it's PC 3802, and they went, oh, but see here it says detained. I said, whoa, read it. It's only if they give false information here. And then he's like, oh, you're right. And I said, see, this is a problem. Do you understand why I asked to speak to you, Sergeant? The lieutenant understood the problem. He's like, I don't know how they don't know this. I know our academy teaches it. The academy instructor confirmed it's in the classroom. But what happens is an officer gets to the street, another officer tells them, I'll call it cop-splaining. It may be slang that you don't like, but another officer tells another officer, well, you have to get it. So, yeah, don't worry about that. You have to get their name for your report, so tell them they have to give it. And then that leads to an officer saying, you're required to the next person. And then, 2 or 3 months later, in the back of that officer's head, that one day in training that they spent 8 minutes saying, this is what this law is. Nobody's going to remember that.
Yes, sir.
But then what happens is, again, people get unlawfully arrested or things happen. Again, I didn't come out to your city to cause a problem. I came out to do B-roll footage. The 2 officers I spoke with that night were really good. I corrected them on 3 different laws. And if they're good officers, they'll understand. And it's like I told them, I said, you can't trust me. You're gonna go research that, and you're gonna understand. I'm absolutely correct. The way that criminal trespassing is written, if I could reasonably see the sign, like if I walked up at this angle, yes, I'm criminally trespassing if I go back there because I could reasonably see the sign. But if I walk from somewhere where it's not physically possible to see the sign, it cannot be criminal trespass because there's no reasonable notification. The officer verbally notified me, I immediately left. There go, no crime. But in his mind, he's not understanding. Now, most citizens don't know that. I've run across many a lawyer who don't even understand that. That's not, I mean, I'm not, you're asking me if I'm a penal code instructor, and I'm like, no, but again, those things, like I said, when I speak with officers, good officers will learn it and they'll become better officers. Bad officers, they'll say we don't care and they'll continue to do it. I can't change bad officers. I accept that, but I do know that there are enough good officers, people who came out here with good intent. You didn't do this job for 20 years because of whatever reason. You had good intent when you started. It seems to me like you have good intent right now with your conversation. I know things didn't start out good, but they never do when someone calls for a supervisor. You know that. I asked the young lady about your prayer up here. How many of your officers have ever read that prayer on that statue? Not very many. I mean, yeah. but that's why on the back of that, I said, please mandate that your officers just read that just once a week so they understand, or it just gets back in their head. Like I said, it's hard for the public to trust an officer when what happened to me on the 30th of June happened. where I'm told I'm going to be unlawfully arrested unless I give up my rights, and that there's nothing I can do about it, even though they know I've not broken any law. Do you see how that would lead people to say no, police are good? When, especially when a lieutenant is telling these two other officers who are both in agreement, no, you haven't broken any law, but then they're told, put him in cuffs and arrest him unless he IDs. And afterwards, when I'm explaining, guys, you know, I don't want to go to jail. Trust me, I've gone to jail. When you do what I do, you go to jail. I was in court this morning for a charge that I will beat. This is not something that I brag about. It's just stating I'm willing to go to jail. Most people who do what I do, they do it for money. So, you know, maybe they're going to sue, or they get YouTube hits. Oh, look, this guy's been arrested. Oh, give him some money. I don't beg for that. I don't ask for bail money. I say, hey, I do this for my own personal satisfaction, to help officers become better for our community. And I mean, if I can express that to officers, I think it comes across better. But again, you're working. I don't want to tie you up. I will ramble all night. I appreciate your officers' time. I understand you will talk to them whenever it's convenient.
Yes, sir.
But please express to her why my concern about her statement. That, because again, I mean, it's like I said, I'm not trying to hide my ID. I'm turning in a piece of paper,
right,
with my name all over it. But when someone tells me I have to ID, it's like I tell officers all the time. They call me the homeless hippie. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a Fusion Center file about that thick. If you've been around, you know what the Fusion Center is. My Fusion Center file is really thick. Officers call me the homeless hippie, and then they go, oh, you heard me. I don't care about that, guys. I know it's in the file. Usually, I'm dressed like a homeless hippie. Go ahead.
Statement, sorry, Tim.
No.
Can you have her put her phone somewhere else? I find it to be very inappropriate. Sticking out the shirt where it's located.
It's not in violation of our uniform policy.
Yeah,
so
I know. I know, but personally, I find it very inappropriate.
Well, I find you smoking in front of me very inappropriate, but you don't see me asking you to put that cigarette out, do you?
And if you were to ask me, hey, sir, can you put out the cigarette?
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with you smoking that here in front of me, so I'm not going to ask you to do it. So I'm not going to ask her to do it because it's not a violation of our uniform policy.
Okay, that's cool. I just find it very inappropriate for a female to have it stuck to her chest like that.
Okay. Well,
On that, can I chime in on that, Desert Goat? At the same time, they also have body cameras, badges, other things. I mean, I wouldn't object if he had his phone like that.
do
Except,
I need to move my zipper to my pants because it's right down here by my crotch?
Well, how many people
Is that
are looking
offensive?
How many people are looking at your crotch?
He does have a point.
I don't know. I don't go around asking those kind of questions because that's a little perverted.
I might have to cut off. I might have to edit my body cam now.
Yeah. So, anyways, you have anything else you need from me?
No, that's it. I will be back out here probably next Tuesday for the next town hall meeting. You guys may see me. I do cop watch. That's not what I normally do. I normally do audits, like come around checking signs and things.
Yes, sir.
If you see me on the street, I'm not one of those guys who's going to get up in your face if you have someone pulled over. I'll stand back. I'll observe.
Yeah.
If I see something, you know, I may say something, but again, speech isn't interference. I know that, but I'm not one of those guys. You may have seen some of those YouTubes where, you know, they're cussing and yelling at officers. I don't do that. If you read my Fusion file, which I'm sure all your officers will get soon if they hear I'm out here, I do carry a firearm at times. I typically will not carry if I know I'm going to engage an officer. That's just common respect. That's what I do. But I do carry. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever have a question and you're concerned and you ask me, I'm going to be straightforward with you. Now I know you. In the future, if you come up and ask me, you know, hey, I don't remember your name, more than likely, depending on the situation, I'll give you that information. But again, if any of your other officers just come up and start demanding that ID,
Yeah.
I'm a rights guy. I've got to hold on those principles until it gets to that bound. But again, like I said, if you see me, I'm not a bad guy. I'm approachable. I'll talk with you.
I don't think
At the same time, I know that people who do what I do can upset or trigger things the same way officers can escalate things. We can do the same. That's not my goal. My goal is to make my community better. And I honestly believe that good conversations like this, and the same with, you know, telling an officer right away, hey, you need to see your supervisor if you don't know that policy. It's not chastising the officer. It's somewhere there was a break in communications. It could be as simple as the way she phrased it to me made it seem like she didn't understand the law.
Yes, sir.
Or it could be something else. And again, if I don't address that, then I have to go home and
we'll
go there.
talk about that when we get done.
Okay,
And
well, again,
I
I
promise you that. I'll talk to them and we'll kind of debrief this and figure out how we could have gone better.
okay,
How
well,
they could have kept their supervisor from getting out of the AC.
well, yeah, I mean, because you're right, it is hot out here. I mean, you know, unfortunately, I've been out in your wonderful sun all day
Yeah.
waiting for this meeting, but
I don't
it
know
is
if we
what.
would have told you we had a meeting because it's
Uh,
Thursday. We don't have meetings on
Well, the
Thursdays.
sergeant told me this afternoon, right about 2 o'clock, right before he was getting off, and I said, well, I'll wait for the meeting tonight. I came and picked up the paperwork, and the lady